Hey, this is Irvin Griffin, and welcome to another edition of Grown Man Talk. This morning, I made a video on Keisha and her support of embattled comedian Bill Cosby. Now, at the time, that was the short version, and let me say up front, although I had my issues about Keisha Pulliam, some of her feminist views, and especially the way that situation with Ed Hartwell over their little girl, and I'm gonna call it their little girl till a paternity test or something's taken. But I can't knock her for having a commitment. She has been in Bill Cosby's corner almost from the beginning. But no, ain't no but. She's been in his corner almost from the beginning of this whole ordeal. And honestly, maybe it's because she was on the Cosby Show and she played one of Bill's daughters on their little Rudy Huxtable, but I gotta admit, seeing them side by side like in this picture in there, I got to admit, she actually looks like she would be his daughter, if I had to be honest. Ooh, yeah. But she's been consistent. I mean, and she's one of the few that has been publicly supporting Bill Cosby outside of his children. And outside of Felicia Rashad, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Sinbad are ones that I know. I think Damon Wayans has even spoken on it, although he did make the controversial comment that those women were unrapeable, which I will admit was in poor taste. However, he's more or less been in support of Bill Cosby as well. But not too many have come out in front. Certainly nobody white that I know of. I mean, if there is, please tell me in the comment section. And even though I made a video a while back about possibly Eddie Murphy stabbing him back, for the most part, Eddie Murphy has refrained from going after Bill Cosby. Even though they tried to encourage him to do his skit, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So kudos to Eddie Murphy on that, for not doing that, even though he hasn't been very open with his support with Bill. The fact that he refused to do that, especially at the very beginning when they was really trying to put the screws to it, kudos to him. But I've always had problems with this case from day one. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. Rape is not funny. I mean, it's not really about sex so much as it is about power. It's about dominance. Basically, when you take someone against their will, strip them naked to where they're open and bare, shall we say, and invade them without their consent, that's got to be one of the worst violations anyone can experience. I mean, I know we talk about women, but even men have been the victim of this. I mean, there's a term back, I think, a term back from slavery called buck breaking, where either the overseer or the slave master himself would take a slave, sometimes female, but usually a male, tie him down, strip him naked, and basically, I mean, I'm trying to put this as cleanly as I can, but there's really no nice way to say it. I'll just say he basically tied him down, stripped him naked, usually in front of the other slaves, and including even the children, and basically raped that male slave right in front of everybody. In other words, they would take their male member and actually penetrate their booty hole right in front of everyone. I mean, it's got to be one of the worst human violations you could ever do to a person. But the fact that most of these women waited years upon years to say anything, and everybody keeps coming to me. One of the constant ones I keep getting is that, well, you'd be surprised. Bill Cosby was a powerful man. First of all, get out of my face. Get off my page with that crap. And this includes even people that I'm cool with otherwise. To quote my friend Prince GMO, go outside, find the biggest rock and go kick it, because you get out of here. No, man, you know what? I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go a little old school. No black man in this country, you would have to have presidential power to keep that many women's mouths shut. And this is gonna sound sexist, but most women can't keep their mouth shut about what they had for breakfast this morning or what they used to wash themselves this morning. You think that many women is going to keep quiet about being sexually assaulted or groped? No. And we're talking about a man of color in Bill Cosby. You think that many one white woman would all it would take? You think 30 some white women gonna keep their mouths shut by the same dude? No. And as it turns out, most of these women have never even met Bill Cosby. And the ones that have, their stories are suspect. And the one that he is being brought to trial over, even her story is suspect. Number one, she said she wouldn't been interested in him because she's lesbian. Wrong. I have known at least 3 women that were lesbian at one point or another, and they still, and I'm gonna use my phrase, they still got the penetration from a dude. I know at least 3 women that were lesbian at one point, and they still was bending over to get the meat stick. So that don't mean jack, number one. Number two, you met up with this guy several times. Number 3, and Miss Nicole pointed this out, you made several calls to this dude. What woman keeps calling a man that supposedly drugged and raped them? Not to mention, several of these women went back to Cosby several times. And not just for a short period. We're talking 2, 3, 4 years. And there's no nice way to say it. I'm just going to be blunt. Excuse my language. But they were giving up the butt crack. They were giving up the ass. They were. And as far as them taking drugs, they knew what they were taking. They knew what they were taking. I think most of these women knew they were taking Quaaludes. And another excuse I keep hearing is that, well, he confessed. It was in the deposition. Read the damn deposition, fool. Because if you look at the way it was worded, if you look at what they were questioning about, they were questioning him about activities he did in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't even about the alleged 2004 allegation. It was about things he did in the 70s. But the mainstream media made it sound like it was pertaining to that case, when in fact they were questioning him about stuff he did in the 70s. Not to mention, Andrea Constantine, let me be honest, and even I would say this to Mr. Cosby. I'd be like, sir, I know you had a horny itch. I don't condone you cheating on your wife, but, sometimes people got to do what they got to do. But really? You're the famous comedian Bill Cosby, and this is the best you can get? Because let's be honest, Andrea Constantine looks like a dude. I mean, every time I see her, I'm thinking drag queen. On the serious tip. Every time I see her, I'm thinking drag queen. So as far as that goes, that deposition, he confessed. No, he didn't confess to raping anyone. He confessed to using drugs for sex during the 1970s. Go and read the actual deposition. He didn't say anything about that case. And then the documents were supposed to be sealed, but all of a sudden the judge unseals them. To quote Drew Story News, who has a great breakdown. He's made at least 3 or 4 videos greatly breaking down this case. This case, honestly, I'm not even sure is even legal. I'm not even sure it should be even taking place right now. So yeah, I applaud Keisha Knight Pulliam for coming out in support of Bill Cosby. Because basically, the United States government and basically just people in general are ignoring, disobeying, and disrespecting their own laws just to get this guy. And for people to say, "Oh, they can't do that," or they wouldn't do that, go and look at Michael Jackson. You know that law out in California that allows the prosecutor to bring up old cases in brand new charges. That was specifically created by Tom Sneddon for the extent purpose of getting Michael Jackson. After the 1993 case, after they settled out of court, which I always maintained was a big mistake on Michael's part, the family of that little boy he was being accused of would not testify. So Tom Sneddon created this law to where he could use that case if Michael ever got caught up in something again. Of course, as we know, he did, but I don't believe he was guilty in either case. I don't think he never molested those kids. He might have been, like I said in that first case, like I said in another video. Oh, I actually said in the shoot video with Prince Giabo and Laurel and my friends. I said, yeah, no, he didn't molest that little kid. He might have been putting the he on his mom. Who the mama looked pretty good, by the way. He might have been putting that showbone on the mother, but I doubt he was doing anything to that little boy. I don't care what none of these white folks say. And guess what? And for those that say, he molested, I was like, no, I don't. Any more than you know that he did. And I'll leave it at that. But the point is, a law was specifically created just to get him. Because have you heard of that law being used since then? No. But going back to Cosby, though. Yeah, Keisha Knight Pulliam, big ups to her for that. But this isn't so much about Keisha. It's just they're so determined to destroy this man's legacy. And you know what, though? I think it's starting to wear off, even though they're trying to put this case back up. Some will fall for it, but I think most are just sick of it. I think most black people, even black people that think that Bill Cosby's guilty as crap, are now just sick of it. They said, look, either convict this guy or let him go. It got to the point where I even think some white people are now sick of it now. They're like, look, either convict this guy or let him go. Because even people that think he's guilty are like, these women waited way too long to say something. At this point, what's the point? But they don't understand. The point is to destroy this man's legacy, put an asterisk on it that they can always use, even when he's brought up in a good light. They can always point to this period in time. Even though they know the case. I mean, look at how many people still insist Michael Jackson was a molester, even though a jury of his peers, well, it wasn't really a jury of his peers, but it was a jury made up of mostly white folks that found him innocent on all counts. That's the thing they don't talk about. But I don't see nobody calling that jury stupid or nothing like they did the OJ case. And OJ, I've always believed either he did it or he knows who did. Either way, he didn't do it by himself. I don't care what, I mean, Goldman's and them, they're entitled to think what they want. But I don't believe it was just him. I believe somebody else was involved. And it's funny how I've been talking about Cosby and other cases with pictures of Keisha Knight Pulliam running across the screen. But yeah, big ups to that sister, because not many people have had the guts to step forward for Mr. Cosby. And I hope she continues to support him no matter what happens. But anyway, that's it for this edition of Grown Man Talk. And I'm out. I'm Irvin Griffin.
such places past.